Welcome to the Bitcoin Basics. I'm your host, Colin. We're here to talk about Bitcoin to help you reach a Bitcoin epiphany. Simple ideas as well as live orange pills where I take average people and try to get them to that Bitcoin epiphany so they truly understand this revolutionary technology. I also bring on expert Bitcoiners from time to time to give you a dose of second and third levels of thinking, because there's multiple levels and there's a ton of depth here. We also cover the fundamentals of history, money, economics, human nature, etc. And we try to get you thinking from first principles. This is a member of the Better Human Podcast Network. Get the Better Human newsletter over at thebetterhuman.co. You won't regret that. Get that. That's the hub. It's also full of a bunch of other amazing content. It's the central place for everything I'm doing, as well as for becoming a better human. So today's topic is one idea, real quick, the Cantillon Effect. And I have here, it's absolutely disgusting. This is from a book, The Seventh Property, which I highly recommend you read. Very good stuff. Let's read it. Washington was aware of the wealth inequality that is created from fiat monetary expansion. This phenomenon was observed by economist Richard Cantillon and is known as the Cantillon Effect. He proposed that rising prices occur in different sectors of an economy at different times. The first sectors to receive newly created money can spend it before prices have risen, while each subsequent holder of money must spend it with prices having already risen. This is analogous to the Roman government's coin clipping. The government first spent their coin clippings before prices rose, while agricultural laborers spent it after prices had risen. Today, those who receive the money first are the largest banks. This money goes out in loans to mostly companies. Eventually, it is the wage earners who receive it from these companies. The banks trade the money while prices are still low, and the wage earners trade it after prices have risen. Another way to think about this is that those who are furthest removed from interaction with financial institutions end up worse off. This group is typically the poorest in society in the world. Thus, the ultimate impact on society is a wealth transfer to the wealthy. Poor people become poorer, while the wealthy get wealthier, resulting in the crippling or destruction of the middle class. Let's just real quick review what inflation is. So inflation is the expansion of the money supply, or you could say anything. When you inflate something, you create more of it. Right? When there's more of it, prices come down, right? Because prices are based on supply and demand and scarcity. For something to have value, it has to be scarce. If everybody drove a Lamborghini and it was like a Corolla, well, it would be priced the same as a Corolla. It doesn't matter how nice the car is. It's about whether it costs more to get it and whether it's sought after and whether it's scarce. This is true of every luxury brand that charges 10x what it actually costs to make the thing. It's about scarcity. It's about making so that only rich people can afford it because that's part of the branding, etc. What happens here when the government prints money is they expand the money supply. But what he's saying here, what Cantillon figured out, was that it takes a while for the market to figure out that the money's been expanded, because, I mean, think about how complex it is. It's got to go to banks, it's got to go to people, it's got to go to businesses, and everything has to kind of rise up, and as a result, prices have to go up as well. Like, it's a very long, slow process, and at different sectors of the economy might be faster or slower depending on how much money goes into something, how fast, etc. But the baseline is that banks get the money first. The market doesn't know yet that there's more of this money, so they haven't priced that. And that money then is used at the same value or it has the same purchasing power as money that existed before. They're inflating the dollars, but before anybody can figure out they've inflated it, before the market can price that in, they spend those dollars. And what that means is that the banks use it first, they get richer, they use it to spend, invest, do other things, right? And then it goes down and down and down and down, and eventually by the time it reaches like the poorest, these dollars have taken time to get there, maybe 6 months, a year, a couple years, whatever. And as a result, inflation has kicked in. The market has priced it because now there are more dollars chasing fewer goods and you have inflation. How this effectively manifests is a transfer of wealth, because those at the smallest end, because those at the lowest end, they lose purchasing power. Prices rise, which then actually trickles up to, investors and companies and institutions and banks. And now the laborer, the poorest, have to work even harder for even less purchasing power, while everybody on top benefits right when the money's printed and then benefits even moving forward because they're usually asset holders. It's absolutely disgusting. That's why they call inflation the silent tax, because it's the tax you're paying you don't even know. It just boils my blood. And it's why, for me, Bitcoin is going to save us. It's the future. It solves this. Everybody needs it, especially the unbanked, especially the poorest. So a very simple idea. When the money enters the money supply, it goes to the banks, goes to the rich. That gets doled out to other rich companies and people, whatever. They use that to buy things, buy assets, buy income. And then the money trickles down. Inflation makes it so that the purchasing power continually goes down as more of that money enters the money supply. And then by the time middle class and poor get access to that money, it's worth way less. But on the way down, the rich used it at a value that doesn't actually exist. So they basically stole from the poor and the middle class by passing down this toxic money. And that's the entire fiat pyramid scheme. It's basically what it is. It's incredible. So I highly recommend researching this topic and reading books on this. I mean, it takes a bit, right? You got to understand history, economics, history of money. You have to understand what money is. Most people don't really know what money is. They don't know what the properties of good money is versus sound money. They don't really understand fiat or inflation or why gold was money for history. They don't understand, and as a result, they don't understand Bitcoin, obviously, which is now money perfected. It's the best money. It's 1,000 times better than gold, maybe infinitely better than gold. They don't understand these things, yet they're playing in that game, that fiat game, every single day. And they're getting poorer usually, even while they might think they're getting richer because their stock market's going up, but that's just asset inflation. So they're actually not getting richer at all. It's the most blatant scam there is in the world today. It's almost as big of a scam as the COVID hysteria. They're pretty close, but actually I think fiat wins because it's been going on for so long and most people just accept it. They don't even question it. And the few of us, the remnant of us, the Bitcoiners, are the outspoken minority that are trying to wake people up to this. It's crazy. That's going to be it for today's show. Get over on the newsletter again at thebetterhuman.co. And you can check out the website if you want more articles on Bitcoin as well as more episodes, bitcoinwillsaveus.com. Thanks for watching.